Hi, welcome to the Workington Academy Geography Department. I'm Miss Fisher, I'm the lead in Geography. Today I'm going to give you a brief introduction into GCSE Geography. I'm going to begin with introducing the team. So as I said, I'm the lead in Geography and we have Mr Foster and Miss Dooling, who will also be responsible for Key Stage 4 Geography. Now, the way that we structure our classes, you will have two teachers. So you will have myself and either Mr Foster or Miss Dooling, and you will do different topics with each teacher. For example, I might do climate and Mr Foster will do development at the same time. So you'll have two separate topics at the same time with different teachers. So obviously, most important question, why would you want to or why should you choose geography? Geography is what we call a facilitating subject. So first and foremost, a lot of employers like students to study geography. The reason for this is you have a varied approach to the course. So you have some literacy elements. You have to be able to write an essay. There are numeracy elements. You have to be able to demonstrate statistics. You need to be able to analyse them. You need to be able to draw and interpret graphs. You need to be able to use maps. So there are so many different types of skills. It fits really well with apprenticeships, with further education, so going on to university. Another key essential attribute of the geography course is the fieldwork. So you will be responsible for independent fieldwork. You'll go out, you will investigate a city and we do rivers, and then you will write a report on this. And again, this really sets you up nicely for either A-levels or university or going on to do your apprenticeship. So we study at Excel Geography B. You will be able to find a lot of information about this on the internet. And at the end of the 2 years, you sit 3 exams. So we've got component 1, which is all about global issues. We have component 2, which is all about issues in the UK. And then we have component 3, which is a decision-making paper. It's called People and Environmental Issues, and it's basically a decision-making paper. So you get a booklet in the exam. You need to read through this booklet, and then at the end of that, you will have to make a decision on an issue, which I will show you in a little bit. So the topics that we study are obviously really, really important. I'm going to go over them briefly. If you want some more information, a really good place to start is the Firefly site. So if you go to the geography area and explore geography, you'll find Key Stage 4. You'll find lessons, you'll find activities, PowerPoints, lots of information on each topic that we do. You can also find information on the Edexcel Geography B website. So that's a really useful starting point. And it's also very useful to come to myself or another geography teacher and borrow a textbook, because then you'll be able to read through the topics that we study. So I will start with paper 1. So paper 1, as I said, is global issues. We begin with hazardous earth. You will look at climate hazards, so tropical storms, and you will look at tectonic hazards, so earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, all of which you have studied before. We just go into a little bit more detail with a little bit more case study information. We then look at development dilemmas, and this is focused around India, and we look at how India is developed, why it's developed in this way, and we will look at changes that have happened over time. The final topic on this paper is challenges of an urbanising world. And here we look at why cities are growing around the world, and we look at the challenges and the advantages of this. So again, case study is incredibly important here, and we look at Mumbai, and you can see we've got a picture of Dharavi, which is the largest slum in Asia. So we look at life in this slum and the benefits of living there, and obviously the challenge as well. We then move on to paper 2. Paper 2 is all about the UK. We do physical and human. So we begin with the physical landscape and we look at coasts and we look at rivers. We then go on to the human landscape and we focus on cities. How have cities in the UK changed over time? Why have they changed? What do they look like at the minute? And as mentioned earlier, field work is incredibly important, and it is on this paper that you will be assessed on your 2 pieces of fieldwork that you do. So one of them, we will go to Gates Garthdale Beck in Buttermere, and we will get in the river, we will measure how fast it flows, how deep it is, how wide it is, and we will also visit Liverpool, and we will look at how Liverpool's changed over time, what it's like today, and we'll do some human fieldwork. Now, you'll write both of these pieces of fieldwork up in the computer room, and then we will focus on the exam elements a little bit later on. The final paper is your decision-making paper. So this one is a very interesting paper, and like I said, it's slightly different to the other two because you get a resource booklet when you get into the exam. So you don't really know what the issue is going to be about until you get in there. The first topic that we studied to prepare for this is people and the biosphere. So we look at things like the water cycle, the carbon cycle. We look at how deforestation results in a reduction in oxygen in the atmosphere and it increases our carbon dioxide, which obviously links to climate change. We then move on to forests under threat, and you can see we've got 2 different forests there. We've got the boreal forest and we've got the tropical rainforest. We look at the characteristics of these, so it's a little bit of physical geography, and then we look at what's happening, why are they under threat, and what we can do to manage these threats. The final topic that you will study is consuming energy resources, so very, very relevant at the minute. We study the impact of energy extraction, so the impact on the environment of coal, oil, gas. We obviously look at what we're going to do in the future. We know that by 2035, we're going to have an extra 1.6 billion people on Earth. How are we going to manage this energy demand? And we will then focus on our renewable resources. So if you go down to the coastline, you will see lots of evidence of renewable energy. So we've got our wind farms all along the coast, up the Solway Firth, and we'll look at how effective these are and whether or not we should be investing in these a little more. So there's your topics in a nutshell. I'll move on now and I'll show you what the exam actually looks like. It's quite varied. So the beginning of each topic will give you some multiple choice questions. So you can see here, which of the following is an alternative name for a tropical cyclone? And you will just tick the box that applies. These types of questions and the low mark questions are purely based on your knowledge. So this is where your revision is really important. There's no potential answer here or here. It is a right or wrong answer. You just need to know this information. You will also be required to have some good numeracy skills and obviously some good geographical skills. So your geography skills will focus on map work, on data presentation, so you'll need to understand how to read different graphs. You might have to evaluate the use of a graph. Why is it good? Why is it bad? And you will also need to be able to extract data. Now, the example that we've got here, we've got a world map and it shows the global distribution of recently active volcanoes, and it asks you to suggest 2 reasons for the distribution. So using this map, you have to tell me where they are, you need to tell me why they're there, and you need to refer to specific locations. And you can see it's quite a big mark question. It's a 4-marker. So your skills are very, very important. I've also put on an example of the numeracy element that you have in the exam. So here we've got some data on tropical cyclones, and it asks you to calculate the difference between the costs, and it also asks you to calculate the ratio. So you will find a lot of our topics link very closely with the work that you do in English, maths and science, and they're all transferable. The final element of the exam that I want to show you is the literacy part of it. Literacy is incredibly important for geography, and you will get marks for your spelling, punctuation and grammar. At the end of every topic, you get an 8-mark essay question. So this is an example here, and it says, the causes of past climate change and current global warming are different. Assess this statement. So here you would have to explain the causes of past climate change, explain the current causes of global warming, and then you need to assess whether that statement is true or whether it's false. The skills that you need to do that is what we build on throughout the 2 years. So don't worry about that. Obviously, we teach you those skills, but that's an example of how it is assessed. Now, in the final paper, in paper 3, you do have a longer essay, and this is worth 16 marks, and it's based on the booklet that you're given. And you have to make a decision and explain your decision. So here, the example I have included says, study the 3 options below for how Peru should develop its rainforest region for oil and gas. So it gives you 3 options. You need to explain why you've chosen the option you have and why you wouldn't choose the other options. Now, what's really nice about this paper is that there's no right or wrong answer here. It is your opinion. It's looking for your literacy skills. How do you explain and justify your answer? And why haven't you chosen the other ones? So that is a very interesting paper, as I said, and it's one where it's quite easy to get good marks because as long as you've got those literacy skills, you can do really well on that essay element. So lessons, what we do in lessons, it's very varied. So I've just included here some of the work that we've done recently. So you'll see that we've been doing Mumbai. So we are on topic 3. We have done some brochures for Mumbai. We've looked at climate graphs. We've done some map work on it. We've got obviously really well presented work in our books. We also look at a lot of different elements of skills. So producing climate graphs, analysing climate graphs. We've got some comparative bar graph work here that we've been doing. We use knowledge organisers, so there will be a lot of literacy, a lot of writing. And we can see here that we use posters and we do a lot of presentations, a lot of group work, and a lot of independent investigation work as well in geography. The final thing I'd like to go through are potential careers. Now, I did say earlier that geography is a facilitating subject. Employers and further education establishments really like it as a subject because of the skills and the content that you study. So they're very transferable. Now, I've added a link here to the Royal Geographical Society website, and they have a lot of information about careers. So if this is something that you are interested in, whether it is specifically a geography route or those transferable skills routes, then please do go and have a little look at those careers and have a little nosy. Some of the examples are over here, and these are ones really specifically linked to geography. So obviously we've got teaching and we've got environmental education. We've got the environment itself, so looking at water quality, looking at air quality. We've got looking at development, so charity, international aid, working in the government. We've got risk, so environmental planners. We've got safety officers, so for example, Sellafield. Quite a lot of the jobs there rely on investigative skills and things like that. Obviously, we've got weather, we've got geoscience, so the list is endless really. And if that is something that you are interested in, then you can give me a shout or you can have a little look at the RGS website and we can go into a little bit more detail. So finally, I'd like to just say thank you for watching the video. Obviously, we are here to help and make sure that you make the right decision. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to contact me, contact Miss Stooling or Mr. Foster. You can see us in school, you can send us an email. And if you want any more resources, so maybe examples of tasks or information or a textbook, as I said earlier, then please just give us a shout. Thank you.